harassment complaints is leaving some Cal Poly students feeling unsure about his leadership.
And this year's butterflies soar back to Pismo in great numbers. Stay tuned to find out where you can see them and why the Monarch Grove is so excited to see the return of butterflies.
And how one Cal Poly student is using the Morro Bay sand as a canvas for his art.
Broadcasting from Swanson Studios, you're watching Mustang News.
Welcome to Mustang News TV. I'm Alexa Kushner.
And I'm Tessa Hughes. Here are today's top stories.
Cal Poly students are reacting to recent news regarding the CSU Chancellor Joseph Castro. Reporter Nico Vinuela has more on what exactly people are saying.
California State University Chancellor and former Fresno State University President Joseph Castro has been under fire for his mishandling of sexual harassment complaints against former Fresno State Vice President of Student Affairs Dr. Frank Lamaze. As Castro was getting sworn in as Chancellor in 2020, he failed to act upon more than 12 Title IX complaints filed against Lamaze and instead endorsed him for a Lifetime Achievement Award, which he went on to win. When the formal Title IX complaint was filed, Castro sent Lamaze off with a letter of recommendation and $260,000. The Cal Poly community has been reacting to the news since it came out, and many students, like third-year agricultural business major Simran Kersey, feel that Castro's handling of the situation was inadequate.
Frankly, I think it's just ridiculous that this little no action was taken, and that the chancellor gave him a letter of rec and a hefty payout. That would make me uncomfortable to work with the chancellor, and it makes me wonder what else he's let slip past.
Students were sent an email on February 4th containing an open letter from Castro to the CSU community where he apologized for causing pain and frustration. Many students, like second-year psychology major Sophie Cohen, feel that this response doesn't make up for his actions.
You want to think that people, your friends, family, people who have dealt with sexual abuse or sexual assault you want to hope that they have the confidence to go and report that type of thing. And so it's so disheartening that it could be happening right under our noses.
Going forward, third-year chemistry major Willem Hansen hopes that this situation sets a precedent as to how to deal with sexual harassment complaints in the future.
Going forward, I think they have to do better background checks into whoever they're going to appoint as chancellor, or even when there is someone that's the president of a college and something like this happens, they should have someone else look at it as well to make sure that they didn't just sweep it under the rug.
For Mustang News, I'm Nico Vinuela.
Frank Lamaze is currently denying any of the allegations made against him.
Pismo Beach is home to one of the largest butterfly groves in the state. For some, the grove is a nice stop on their travels. For others, it is an indicator of the state of our planet, and for Grove volunteers like Mary Lou, it is a source of their peace and happiness.
Some people have a hobby, and then it becomes a passion. I'm kind of in the obsession, I'd say. I've kind of moved over.
Mary Lou is a local in San Luis Obispo and has been a volunteer at the Monarch Grove since the 1980s.
Even when I was working and everything was so intense, this is like respite. You'd come and life is good.
Everyone else at the Grove knows and adores Mary.
She is so knowledgeable. She does so much research and reading, and then she passes that information on to the rest of us.
I'm standing here amongst the beautiful eucalyptus trees in Pismo. And if you continue to follow this path through the trees, you'll find yourself in a Monarch Grove filled with butterflies. What's different about the Grove this year versus last? Well, let's go find out.
This year, the Grove saw the largest number of monarchs since 2015. Former wildlife biologist Laura Richards was super excited to hear this news.
So happy to see a species, rebound after they were really at low levels.
There were no butterflies the last time we came, so this is great.
It's still a mystery in the scientific community as to why the monarchs came back in such great numbers this year. But everyone, from the volunteers to the visitors, just hope they fly back for many seasons to come. For Mustang News, I'm Angela Carpenter.
The butterflies are expected to remain at the Grove for roughly one more week, so check them out before they fly away.
Have you ever wanted to experience a mother's loving touch? Thanks to the San Luis Obispo Museum Mart, you can. Reporter Lauren Boyer has more details on the museum's exhibit, Touchy Touchy.
The San Luis Obispo Museum of Art is currently showing the exhibit Touchy Touchy, created by Central Coast artist Marin Lee Martinez. The 5 objects on display in this exhibition invite you to touch them, giving you a better idea of how moms are sensitive to their children's constant touch. Each piece has a word associated with it. The word describes what the viewer should do to interact with each piece. The 5 words are tug, climb, spin, push, and poke.
I really love this thing. It's interesting that they chose a cocoon to represent, a mother's touch. It's not something that I would have immediately thought of, but when I think about it, it does really protect and, covet life.
Courtney Davis is a curator for the museum whose favorite piece is the one that first catches your eye when you walk in the room.
The viewers are invited to kind of spin it like this, and it twirls and kind of flares all over the place, and it's really symbolic of this type of energy that the artist Marin Lee Martinez feels when she's caring for her young child, and just this kind of intensity and how things can just be like a whirlwind, but the internal figure is this kind of sharp double-sided tongue, serpent-like tongue, that's a symbolic kind of lashing out for her. She, that when a mother gets really overwhelmed, she might say something she doesn't mean or yell at her child.
Martinez wants the people who interact with her work to realize all the complexities that come with motherhood, like a lack of resources to care for children and the time commitment it takes. All of the pieces in this exhibit use materials everyone can easily access and feel comfortable touching. Martinez supports maternal mental health and shows that in all of her work. This exhibit is on display until the end of the month. 2 other exhibits are also on display at the museum. For Mustang News, I'm Lauren Boyer.
If you would like to visit Touchy Touchy, the museum is located downtown on Broad Street and is open to the public on Thursday through Monday from 11 to 5 p.m. and admission is free.
Coming up, find out the forecast and how Cal Poly did in This Week in Sports.
Meals on Wheels gives me a chance to be totally selfless. More than the food itself, a lot of seniors don't have family. So just to have someone to talk to, just to say, hey, how was your day? That means so much more than a meal could ever mean. We have to look outside of ourselves to be that lifeline to other people. It's worth it.
When you adopt a shelter pet, you discover their unique mix of all kinds of traits.
Where'd Wiley go? Where's Wiley? Ah, there she is. Paw?
Do you remember being an ancient wolf? Do you ever feel the call of the wild?
You're a renegade cop, and I'm a con woman with nothing to prove. But together, we could really solve this murder.
They're a little bit of a lot of things, but all of them are pure love.
For this week in the wide world of weather, we go to Maddie Harrell.
Thanks, Alexa. Hello there. I'm Maddie Harrell with the weather forecast for the rest of this week and the 3-day weekend. Today, you can expect mostly sunny skies with temperatures reaching a high of 67 degrees and then dropping to a low of 41 degrees this evening. The chance of rain is only 1%, but humidity will be pretty high at 46%. Northwest winds will also come in, ranging between 10 to 15 miles per hour. And now taking a look at our Central Coast beaches, temperatures today are in a tight range up and down the coast, starting with the warmest spot, Cayucos, with a high of 66 degrees and a low of 43. Temperatures will drop midway down the coast with Morro Bay and Avila Beach, reaching a high of 63 degrees and lows of 43 and 46. Pismo Beach and Oceano will experience slightly warmer temperatures with highs at 65 and 64. They both will have a low of 42. And now moving on to our 5-day forecast, sunny days are ahead. Again, today we will have a high of 67 degrees and a low of 41 this evening. These same temperatures will continue tomorrow, except you can expect a few clouds to roll in throughout the day. Then looking into the weekend, Saturday it will be warmer as the sun returns with a high of 73 degrees and a low of 42. But temperatures will drop back into the 60s with partly cloudy skies Sunday, with a high of 66 and a low of 40. Finally, you can expect a sunny President's Day, but temperatures will decrease to a high of 63 and a low of 36. That's all for your weather forecast. Now we go over to Angela for the latest in sports.
Thank you, Maddie, for that weather report. For sports this week, let's start out taking a look at baseball. A pair of Major League Baseball draft prospects, Brooks Lee and Drew Thorpe, are expected to lead the way for the Mustangs as the 2022 baseball season begins. The Cal Poly women's golf team finished in 6th place at the show at the UNLV. The conditions were windy, which prevented all golfers from breaking par. Continuing on for softball, the Cal Poly softball team opened up their season in San Diego for the SDSU Conference Kickoff Tournament that took place February 11th to the 13th. They ended the tournament with 5 losses, but they look to take home a win at their next game Friday, February 25th. For wrestling this week, Cal Poly's wrestling team took home 2 wins against Air Force and CSU Bakersfield in their final home matches. They beat Air Force in a 27-18 victory, and this was Cal Poly's first victory over Air Force in 8 meetings. The Mustangs then followed to beat CSU Bakersfield, which was their first victory over Bakersfield in 8 years. Congratulations, Mustangs, and we look to see you on the courts.
And after the break, you'll find out about one beach artist that does amazing work in the sand, so stay with us.
Action!
Walking on the beaches of Morro Bay, you may see something unusual during low tide. That's because one Cal Poly student spends his time drawing giant mazes in the sand. Reporter Brady Caskey shows us how amazing these mazes are created.
When making a maze, I kind of like to think of it as pretty much like a puzzle that I pretty much walk into. So I like to open up the grid and I guess make a bunch of like possible pathways, potential routes that you can take to get to the ends. Any route that doesn't have like a dead end is pretty much fair play. I'll just keep a bunch of these pathways open, and I'm not really keeping track of how I got to that point, but just that you can get to that point. That's just the fun. You can make like any decision at any time, when you're making something like this. I mean, I'll just keep drawing, lines that, eventually will become a walkway. And at the very end, like, I'll start like, cutting them off, I think, one at a time. And once you get to the end over here, there will only be one left. If I can make a lot of twists, turns, and just winding pathways, then it can make it like confusing and more fun for someone who wants to try to walk through it.
Yeah, I think for Sean, it's almost a way to get out and kind of escape the stresses of college and everything like that, and kind of relax. And it's something he clearly loves to do, and I admire how he's able to focus and really stays in the zone the whole time. And it seems like he really enjoys it, and I just love going out and spending time with him and watching him do his magic. So
at first I did it just kind of as like a thing of free time, but then once I was able to show my friends what I could do, I thought it would be fun, just to go out like whenever we had a chance and try to go like make a maze. And then every once in a while, I'd see someone walk up and ask me what I'm doing, and they were like kind of interested. And if they had fun, trying to walk through my maze, then why stop making them?
I'm Alexa Kushner. Have a great rest of your day.